we go.
Let's go.
We are back. I'm going to get some music going. I'm going to turn it down a little
sides,
bit.
Though.
Let's do it.
We're on the wrong side.
We were on the wrong side. Oh, did I turn it down too much?
Too much.
That feels about right. That feels about right now, I think. Okay, so you and I have already been on this call for, I don't know, maybe about an hour or so. And we've been talking through some stuff that isn't getting things done, just updates on personal life and stuff like that. But some of it, we're actually starting to work on something. And we figured out, we're actually talking about something that other people might find interesting to see, which is kind of the point of this show. So we turned it on. This might be a shorter show today. I don't know, because we kind of got started late anyway. Well, what we have been working on is go ahead.
Can I just say too, like, without getting all emotional, my wife was like, "What's wrong last week?" I was like, "I'm sad." I was like, "I haven't spent enough time with Zach Hammer this week." So I am glad that everything is back in its right place. We are here getting shit done together.
Me too. And man, I agree, and I appreciate that. You're right. This last week was hard. I lost my brother about 2 weeks ago, and it's been hard. But I'm glad that we are back at it and able to work together, do some good stuff, and have some fun with it. So let's do it. Let's get some shit done. So what we were talking about before we turned on the live stream is we're working on an ad for you that's designed to be something that you do as a service for people that who are using referrals while you sleep, in order to help them get inbound opportunities coming into them to find ideal partners to do the referrals while you sleep service with, right? So it's kind of the basic idea. And the basic strategy is the easiest thing to start with is to use podcasting as prospecting, which is a strategy that I've talked to you a great deal about. Something that I've had success with, something I think that you've had some level of success with too. I don't know if you've run it personally as much as the source of your business. But we realize that there's a really great way that we can create opportunities for lender partners who are using referrals while you sleep to find real estate partners to potentially run this play with, right? And so we're working on the ad for that, and we're just trying to dial that in. So that's what we're doing. And so what we were working on specifically is that you have one version running, which is an image running with text, and I think that's exactly what we want. And so I was going to start working on some potential variations. So there's a couple of things that we could test. The easiest options to test are color. So you got a black, like a kind of a black one running right now. I would just test literally any of the colors, and you might find that the colors themselves can make a difference on this one. I think purple, red. I would go with like the primary colors. I think most, because I think they kind of stand out. It's like simplest and easiest to take in. So I would create variations on that. And then the other thing that I wanted to do is potentially create some variations on the text itself, and then all of those variations you can deploy and see which one's getting you the most traction. And just let Facebook sort of do its thing on, like, here's all the options, see which one's working, and it'll throw it behind those. So the text that we're working with right now is, I am looking for 1 to 2 realtors next week for my top realtors in Utah show. If you're interested, let me know. So let's see. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go into Claude. My daughter's over here just banging on the window. Okay. And let's do this. Add text. Okay. So I need to create simple variations of this very simple add text. The length needs to stay about the same. The overall concept needs to stay about the same, but I want to test different ways of saying this that might result in more people being interested. Ideas I have already: say feature instead of interview. Say promote instead of interview, or say promote on my show. Give some sort of reason, like a couple spots opened up this next week, etc. Something like that. Use the word open instead of interested. Let's see. I'm looking for 1 to 2. Potentially play with words other than realtor that might work well, but same audience. Okay, so I gave it that, and then now I want to say, please give me an artifact with an exhaustive list of options to try. Think step by step before creating the artifact. List out reasons, concepts for why different words might hit more effectively than others. And then ultimately generate out the options. Original ad text. Okay, and then I'm going to turn on extended thinking. Does that all make sense to you? Do you have any other ideas in that, or you want to just run that?
I think that's good.
All right, perfect. Okay. Showcase next week on my top. This is me, only one. Professional identity. Looking for 1 to 2 real estate professionals next week. Seeking 1 to 2 property specialists, home selling experts. This is potentially an interesting angle. I wonder if that would work better or not. Where like the fact that it's not exactly realtors, but it's like a realtor wants to be perceived as a home selling expert. I don't know. I could see a world where that would work better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't like this one as much. I'm looking for 1 to 2 realtors next week from our top realtors in Utah show. Send me on my Utah show. Call to action. Yeah, so I think at this stage, I don't trust it to know which of these would actually feel right.
Yeah, I like at the very bottom, 29 through 32.
Only 2 spots left. Looking to feature realtors next week on my top. Yeah. Ready for exposure. Reply now. Urgent opportunity. And it might be like some of these just had cancellations, need 1 to 2. Yeah, so like some of these feel pretty good on it. The thing that I don't like like this interested message today. I might specifically add in like, let me know below, right? As one of those ideas so that they're commenting.
Yeah.
You might even add like, let me know below or tag somebody, let me know or tag somebody you think is a good fit. Add in to my mix here the idea of me know below, or even drop a comment in the image. Yeah, because this is going to be, it's not going to be in the ad text, it's going to be in the image itself. So we could say comment, I think. Drop a comment and add in the idea of tag someone you think would be a good fit. That sort of idea. Just expand the list with these ideas. Don't remove what you have. I'm putting this all into a document for you, by the way. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. All right, let me share this one with you. Everyone, copy share link. And I'm going to drop it into a WhatsApp message for you. So yeah, I threw it into this so that you have it.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, so here are my thoughts as I'm reading them. Just that you have my perspective on this. This seeking, I feel like might work well. I do like the idea of seeking to spotlight. I really don't like throwing in my premiere. I don't like that. That feels weird, but I do like this part. Seeking to spotlight next week. I don't like this ready for exposure. I do like this message me if this interests you, or message me if you're open to it, or drop a comment if you're open to it. Any of those work well. Let me see. A couple spots just opened up for 1 to 2 yeah. I mean, you could try this limited opportunity, 1 to 2, only 1 to 2 spots left. Be ready to be featured. Respond now. Quick opportunity. Kind of like this. Quick opportunity. 1 to 2 realtors needed next week's top real estate show in Utah. I mean, that's not right. It needs to be accurate for. I wouldn't adjust this. I would try and keep the title consistent, kind of like that. Open to joining. Let me know today. I think that could anyway, I think you can mix and match some of these and get something that feels right. So here's what I would target if I was you. Most typically, I like to run at least 5 variations in order to test things. And comparatively, when we think of what's going to make something stand out, there's a few metrics that you can look at in order to see which is like which of these is hitting best or not. And the metric that you're looking at is you're looking at the click rate, all clicks. Okay. So not specifically the click on anything, but like just the click rate overall. Look at that metric. That metric, when you read that metric, think of it mostly as how well is this ad standing out and getting noticed. Okay. And I would say comparatively, I don't know if the text itself is going to make as big of a difference as the color. I would probably do variations on the color, because the text to me is actually more about the next step, which is, I could be wrong on this. This is just a gut feel. The text itself is going to make a difference on how many people do what you're looking to. How well is the message hitting for what you're looking for, right? There's a portion of it that might be about it standing out or not. So it might be worthwhile to run kind of both tests at the same time of saying, I want to run color variations as well as copy variations.
Yeah.
But I would target probably like your top 5, and your top 5 to me, it's more important. So like say we're doing, so for 5, doing the 5 colors is going to be easy, right? Like for getting 5 color variations. 5 text variations, probably what you're looking at is you want to, if you can, you want to test for something like very different approaches if possible, right? Like you want them to, you want, because you want to get some sort of indication of what is the ballpark that I should start doing these minor tweaks on, right? This would potentially for you, this fits into a zone where it might make sense for you to spend a bit more on this ad so that you could test more in order to find what's most likely going to work more consistently. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because once you figure it out, it's probably going to work market over market over market over market. So you're not going to need to test it at a high level for everybody. But as you're figuring out this strategy, like you're going to need to figure out which wording actually works well for people. Does that make sense? And so this might be a zone where it's okay to invest a little bit more, just so you get that data. And then in the future, you're not going to need as many like variations or whatnot in order to make it work. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I would probably target to start. I mean, really, it's a question of budget. You could test anything pretty well for about $1 a day per variation, right? So you could run this in a few stages where you keep your current ad text and you run it with just 5 color variations.
Yeah.
And you see which color variation is getting you the highest click rate.
Yeah.
And then once you know your color variation that's getting you the highest click rate, then potentially start doing rounds of testing the five versions of the text that are working best for you to try and optimize that. In terms of the numbers that you're looking for on that, you want to see a minimum of 500 impressions before you really have made a determination. It's okay. It's okay if you're getting kind of a resounding, you really see it working well. If you really need to, it's okay to make decisions before then. But there's 2 metrics: 500 impressions, 72 hours minimum before you really have thought, I've learned something from this test. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then from there, it's really just a question of the budget to get to those numbers so that you can then compare them, right? So the more budget you throw at it, the quicker you're able to run the test of the variations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But my general rule of thumb is 5 in a test, and then $1 a day per variation. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah.
And that's the low end of the testing. If you want to go quicker, you could do a higher budget per variation so that you get the data quicker. And so that,
yeah,
because like if 500 impressions is the minimum, then at $1 a day, it might take you a while to get to that 500 impressions, right? So even though 72 hours may have elapsed, you haven't hit the 500 impressions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And for me, I don't completely worry about if every individual variation has hit the 500 impressions, as much as there's at least been opportunity for 500 impressions for all of them. So like if I've got 5 ads and Facebook has decided one of them's really a winner, then I'm not going to worry about that too much, and I'm going to be okay with that as long as like my total impressions have been at least 2,500.
Makes sense.
So that's kind of the way that I think about it. And so like, you know, that your ultimate goal is get people responding, right?
Right.
And so in order to try and like optimize that ad, we got to get it noticed first. Then we got to get the right messaging that actually gets somebody to respond. And so I think color is probably going to make a bigger difference on it being noticed. So I would test that first and get your most likely to be noticed. I would include purple. Purple seems to stand out and be noticed. So here we can. Let me look at the different options, and I'll kind of give you some guidance on that.
What would you make what would you make the ad strategy?
Say that again.
What would you make the ad strategy? Like, what would you go for? Engagement or messages or?
So I would probably split the campaign into two different strategies. I would do one that's like targeting messages and DMs, and I'd do a different one that's targeting comments. I don't know which of those is going to go better, but that, like, in terms of the ideal outcome, that's what I would do. And then I'd set for the comments one, I'd go with engagements. For the the DMs one, I'd do messages, right? So I'd run them separately. I personally, I would start with comments. I kind of want to see people dropping a comment that they're interested or tagging somebody. I want to get engagement going on it, if that makes sense. Then it also helps you overall that people are seeing it, it's active, and it's something that they could, that they're more likely to interact with. The other thing that you might play with is you might play with conversions being the thing and targeting people who have booked appointments. In order for them to really help you optimize it, you also need to be able to track whether or not people are booking something. And so your best scenario is that, but like, at least in the general idea of like, Facebook chooses to put it out in front of the audience that historically has more likely booked appointments, right? If you do conversion and then booked appointment, and that might be a useful signal for you. It may or may not matter on this one, but does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let me do this real quick. Let's go into Facebook. And let's go here. And I want to see the different colors. Okay, so you've got this kind. I think I would test purple. I'd probably test red. I'd test black like this. I'd probably test this one. I mean, honestly, like of these, I don't pull up Facebook yourself real quick and start a post. Do your options look the same as my options?
Let's see.
Because I'm curious if it's showing me this based on what they have determined is most popular, or if they're showing me this based on like what I've used. And I don't have enough recollection to tell you. I don't think so. I don't think I typically use purple. I might have done so recently though, so maybe it's showing me based on recency.
I've got purple, red, black, red, purple, the one that you're on now.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So that tells me that those are likely the defaults for everybody. And yeah, so I would bet that this purple one actually does really well because it's the first one that they're recommending. And then red, and then black, and then potentially this one, then this one. So like I would I would test with this set as the colors that you use. And I would, if I had to put money on it, I'd put my money on purple doing the best.
Makes sense.
Because that's what Facebook is recommending for the order of those. But yeah, so I'd say your next steps on it, I would probably, so it really depends on what your budget looks like. Do you have an idea in mind of what budget you'd test? Are you comfortable talking about it on this call?
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to figure it out. I think I was running $5 or $10 as the test this over the weekend. So yeah.
At 5 or 10 a day?
5 or 10 a day, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so 5. I'm just gonna make some notes so I can run some math. Okay, so 5 to 10 a day. Pull up your ads real quick. You don't necessarily have to do it on screen if you don't want to, but pull them up and tell me what your current CPM is looking like. Do you know how to get that information?
Yeah, I believe so.
And the reason why I'm asking you for this is because CPM I could use to estimate how much it's going to cost you to get to the 500 impressions.
Gotcha. All right. Like it's already there. $19.21.
1921, and that's across all of them?
That is, there's one for 15, and there's so the I ran 2 ad sets. 15, 17 was to like real estate agent category. $25 CPM was towards their warm audience friends.
25 to warm, and then what was it? What was it to the wider audience?
15.
Okay, so let's think about it this way. I would, for sake of the testing here, this is my theory. For sake of the psychological principle, the strength of the ad itself is going to be best measured against the cold audience, right? Against the people who aren't warm. Because whatever works for the cold audience likely won't hurt in the warm audience.
Right.
Does that make sense? And so for sake of our testing, I like the idea of you thinking about your testing more so in the more scalable audience. So it's still, I would still think about it as it still needs to be the right fit. It needs to be, we're going after the real estate bracket in the area that we actually want. Like, I don't want to just go wide to go wide, but I want to go as wide as possible in the bracket that makes sense to test in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for the testing specifically, I bet that's part of what we could, where we really concentrate our testing. And then from that testing, since the warm audience is going to be lower, we take what we learned in that bigger test into the warm audience, where we're more likely actually going to see it realized, because it should actually be easier to the warm audience once we really have an ad dialed, right? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so with that in mind, it sounds like your testing zone is about $15 per 1,000, which means it'll cost you about $750 per test, right? Per variation that you test. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
And if you're doing rounds of five variation tests, then your total budget for that test would be 5 times 750, 3750. And if we want to make sure that happens in 72 hours, your budget per test needs to be about $12.50 per day for a 3-day test. Assuming that CPM holds true. It's perfectly fine to do a longer test. So if you run them at $10 a day and you let it go 4 days rather than 3, like, you'd also be fine. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it should get you to the numbers that at least let you make some decisions, like let you see some variation. And so your first round of that testing, you're looking at the your overall click-through rate. So there's
yeah.
Do you see both metrics? There's CTR all and CTR link.
Yeah.
So that CTR all is going to be a good one for asking the question first and foremost, is this being noticed?
Yeah. So for the friends, it was 2.1%.
Okay.
For the realtors, it was 0.72%.
For the realtors, it was 0.72.
Yeah.
So we're targeting to a cold audience. We're looking for about 2%. Is what we're hoping to get on that.
That is low.
Correct. And I haven't tested this style of ad a ton with this audience, so the metrics may look different when you're doing it this way. But yeah, like baseline rule of thumb: 2% on CTR all, 1% on CTR link. If you're running something where there is a link to click through to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'd say to me, the strategy that I'd execute if I were you, like if I was in your shoes, what I would do right now, and you could do with that what you wish, but this is what I would do if I was testing yours. I would create a 5 variation test, and I would focus first on the color and create 5 variations with the colors. I would set a budget at $12.50 a day. I'd run that test for 3 days. I would have one campaign, one ad set, 5 different ads in it. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
The ad set I would target to the wide net, but still in the right market, the right zone. I wouldn't worry about targeting warm yet. And so I'd start with the colors. I'd do 5 variations, and what I'm really looking for, well, getting the result that you want is always the biggest indicator, right? So if any of them get the result that you want, that's your biggest indicator. Any of them actually get a comment, any of them get the thing that you want, that's a big good indicator. But the early indicator is going to be your CTR all, right? If I've got one that's got a low CTR all, but it's actually getting me the result that I want, I care more about the one that's getting me the result that I want, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But assuming they all are not getting me the result that I want, I'm looking at CTR all as like my early indicator. Is this getting noticed? And I'm going to try and maximize for whichever one is getting noticed the most. Okay. And then once I know that, I either might do another round to test to validate it, or I would go into what's getting me what's the next step? What's the one that's getting the most engagement? What's the one that's getting the most interest, or the next step? And for that, I'd probably do the copy variations in the image itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And same thing, I always test in groups of 5. You can do less, but I don't test in more than groups of 5. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Part of the reason for that is 80-20 principle of with a group of 5, I at least expose myself to the 20% that does 80% of the result. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Part of the reason why I don't do more than that is just because the budget that it takes in order to do it. I'd rather do multiple rounds of the 5, the 5 variation test. Yeah. That's at least the way that I think about this. And none of this is based on like anything super proven. Most of this is just like, what's the principle that I operate off of? This is based on, I have done this before with things, so it's not based on nothing. But a lot of it is based on like what's the repeatable system that I could wrap my mind around that's based on some level of something that like I kind of get what the results mean. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Is that all helpful? Is there anything new or different that comes out of that?
Yeah, I think that's a good system for, like, I don't run ads to cold people. You know, like that's not what Referrals While You Sleep is. So, a lot of it's really new in a lot of ways, right? And the other thing that occurs to me is I wonder, like in real estate, I know for me, we've got like these hip Mount Juliet, hip Lebanon, hip Nashville. We've got these local groups, and people hop in there a lot and say, hey, I'm looking for a realtor. And a bunch of people jump on and tag. There's a lot of realtors that like, but so I'm thinking a bunch of them hunt through those, but I don't know if those are the best realtors that they'd want to work with, actually. The other, because it really, going back, the question is, what's the best way to get lenders to have this one phone call with a realtor? Like, that's the question. And would like my agent X, would the voice caller be the best way to do it? Would these ads be the best way to do it? Like, if this feels like the last hinge to really make this work well.
Part of what really helps with this over time too is the overarching ecosystem that it exists in. Like I could tell you, I have a very similar project that I run called the Harlan Insider. That like I look for interviews and I look for things to connect with local businesses. And you want to know the biggest thing that made the difference for people to start saying yes more often?
What? Us
publishing and having it spread more often. Because then when people hear from us, it's a real thing that they've experienced before, and that they're less likely to have this is a scam thing come up. So like there's a portion of this that if the audience is seeing top blenders in Utah or top realtors in Utah show or whatever, Utah's top realtors, if they're seeing clips from that frequently from that page and they get this ad, it starts to work better together because it exists in their brain. Does that make sense? Like it's
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And so like there's a portion of this where you want something that works well in isolation, but the overall ecosystem really does help it to do better. And the more consistency that there is with at least the other portion, the more likely that even this ad will work better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So but you still have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere of getting those people and getting the marketing going out.
Is there a better thing to say, like, top realtors in Utah, like that was an idea? Is there better, like simpler? Could we just call it My Real Estate Podcast? Could it be, would there be a better way to kind of say that, to do that, and show?
Yeah. So there's here. Let me find it. So just a second. I can tell you like what the shows that are working best. Moving to just a second. Whether or not this is the best. Here a second. I'm trying to find it. So there's a YouTube channel that I know. There we go. Okay, so this YouTube channel, actually a buddy of mine, if I haven't connected you to him, and I don't know how much of this I should technically say fully publicly, but I'll try and be as I don't know, fair, gracious. Anyway, this channel, this guy does a good job, and he gets a good amount of views. But I know like this concept has worked well for him. So like he gets traffic off of this by itself because this is like topics that people are searching for. And I think intuitively that people understand if I'm showing up on a show that's called like living in Portland, living in Nashville, like something like that, or
yeah,
I feel like they'd understand like, oh yeah, the audience of this show would be who I want to be in front of. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you might test that as an angle for how to describe it, or even like moving to or something like that, where it feels a little bit more obvious. The guy who came up with this concept, by the way, isn't this guy originally. It's actually a different buddy of mine who told him to do this concept, saying like, hey, if you really want to be successful with creating videos, do this. And he did, and it worked. But anyway. But
nice. Yeah, there's a coaching company, Levi Lazick, kind of pushes this idea as well.
Right.
I think it's the name.
And to be clear, I'm not saying that you should have people do that show concept. I'm saying like as a name related to what you're doing. Really well. I think it will work well, you know, if people run that same concept.
Yeah.
So that's another good thing for you to test as well. In the vein of testing copy, I would see which of the show concepts people seem most naturally aligned, where it's like, yeah, that's a show that I want to be on. Honestly, that would be a good test in and of itself. So if you want to run a test, pick whichever of the copy you like the most, and run a test where the only variation, so have all the colors be the same, have all the text be the same, aside from the show name. And test for that. See what style of show name works the best. Come up with a few different options, and that should give you that information. And like a few ideas for that: living in this area, moving to this area, this area, real estate experts, right? Like you could test a few different angles like that, because like the important point, this is not a show that you're necessarily really optimizing for people naturally wanting to watch. Like you are, but you aren't. For this part of it, you're optimizing for what does the real estate agent want to show up on, right? What kind of show do they want to be featured on? Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean that would be the idea, and you might find that it's not even like local that they care about being on. It could be something more general too. There's a number of different angles that you could test. And because really that's the key. And yeah, you should be able to test pretty readily to figure out which one's working best based on just narrowing out some of those different. Use the same color, same copy aside from the show name, and see which one pulls the best.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this thing's like the question. You know, the other I saw this one post my buddy Jamie shared with me when I was looking at podcasting, and that one was, I'll share it because it's pretty. These people, they're a podcast agency, and so this was pretty smart. But this is what she put. Hey, we're a podcast agency. We've got some clients who are looking for reputable guests on the show.
Wait a second. I can't see it. I think, is it?
Oh, you can't.
Was it mine? I think it's sharing the wrong screen.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Me and you.
All right.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, perfect. I see it now.
Yeah. So I thought this was pretty brilliant. Now, this is the way that she gets clients for her podcast agency,
Right.
Or a podcast booking service. But could do something like this.
Right.
We've got some clients who are looking that way. We're kind of like a third party, to say, hey, podcast agency looking. We have some clients who are looking for reputable realtors for their show. DM me if you'd like to be featured. Something like that.
Right. Yeah. I would definitely test that angle. That makes a lot of sense to me too. Where like you just run it from referrals while you sleep, or run it from, I think that could make sense. And it's because again, it's like part of what you're trying to step into is this idea of like, what is the thing that makes sense to people without having to think about it a ton, right? Where it's like, it feels like a real need, a real problem, that the reason why this opportunity is coming to them feels reasonable. One of the things that I changed my approach for the Harlan Insider was, instead of adding like a bunch of details about it, I said, hey, like I need to feature a couple of people this week. Are you interested? Where it like, I wrote it from the standpoint of, and this was with feedback from Leanna. I wrote it from the standpoint of like I'm imagining myself being like a journalist who's got a deadline for an article, and how might I write that, and then come at it from that perspective, where it's like it feels where somebody feels like, oh yeah, like okay, I can see this happening, where somebody's a bit in a crunch and like they need the help, and so that's why I'm getting this opportunity. So anyway, all that is to say, I do like that angle of like, hey, we run this, we got people who are always needing guests, and you could even do it more from a very specific angle of like, hey, I run a podcast agency geared toward lenders. I've got a lender, a lender who needs guests from this market, reputable real estate agents from this market to be featured on their show. Know anyone? Tag me, drop a message, that sort of thing. I think that could work well too. That angle makes sense to me. And then you could just be running multiple of those depending on whatever areas you need to create those opportunities for people on.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And so I think like it really depends on what you want to learn first, right? I think there's a few different aspects of this. So like the color to me is going to be the thing that you most simply and most reasonably can sort of figure out, okay, I think this one's going to be like either they're all equal and so we could use any of them, or one of them stands out as being, you know, more performant than another. And so, you know, that's what you should be testing the rest of your stuff with. And then from there, I think the show name makes a really big difference on how likely people are to want to do it. But then also like the angle of approach of what's the reason why you're reaching out? What's the reason why the opportunity is coming out? I think that makes a difference too. Testing a few different angles, trying to come up with multiple angles over time is probably going to matter, because if it becomes a really winning strategy that anybody catches on to, then it can burn out at some point. It's kind of the reason why, like, right now, if somebody says that they want to book a strategy call with you, you hear sales call, right? Right? Like, because somebody figured out that worked well, and so everybody started doing it, and so now you hear strategy call, and you're like, all right, that's a sales call. Like, do I want to be on a sales call with this person? Like, you don't think of it as a value add thing. You think of it as like, do I want to buy their thing? Anyway, similarly, over time, the same effect would happen, right? Where things can fizzle out as more people catch on to the strategy, that sort of thing.
What's the famous quote? Marketers ruin everything.
We really do. But yeah, I would bet. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. What do you think? What to you feels like the most important thing to test first? And honestly, you could test them all, but what feels right for you?
You know, I mean, I really feel like I just need to jump in and just like test them and do them all. Like, this feels like a really key hinge to solve that, you know, when I solve this, the rest really works.
Right.
And, you know, the other thing is, even, you know, lenders just, you know, since I've made it where it's easy for them to invite people, they've just started inviting realtors anyway. So this is just in a way that, you know, kind of jump-start it even more.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, honestly, that's always going to be the best option. The best option is always going to be they have a person in mind, they make a personal connection, they reach out to them. Like, that's always going to be best. When we have had like specific people recommend somebody else, or somebody specifically reach out, like, that's obviously always the easiest. When we try and go to the market and approach them, it's always harder. So it makes sense to me. Looks like we just had a bit of a bump up in people watching. Hey, if you're watching, drop a comment. Let us know you're here. Yeah, it always makes sense to me to try and optimize to know that that's the case. But really what we're looking for here is we're looking for a way for you to kind of you to be able to come on their behalf and run this for them. But yeah,
you know, one of my favorite people, Mark, what he's done in the past is he's gone to his top realtor partners and say, hey, who is the coolest person? Who's the coolest realtor you know in your office that I should connect with? And then he's able to name drop them and be like, hey, you know, I'm calling you because Aaron said you're the coolest person in the office, and yeah, here's the offer. I'm looking for a realtor to feature, to showcase local expertise, next week. Are you interested, or know anyone that is?
Right. Yeah, and test it out. I don't remember why she said this, but Leanna mentioned to me that open seems to work better than interested, and I don't know how big of a deal that makes, but are you open to this versus are you interested in this? I don't know why, but open might work better.
Okay. Yeah. makes sense to put through that book exactly what to say. I think they mentioned stuff like that.
Right. But yeah. And so I think I would probably, like, if I was gonna design the test for this, I think I'd probably start with the colors. So, make the test be the same copy across all of them. I'd start with the colors, then I'd go to copy variations, and really anything that is a different angle to test fits into this to me. So even like it coming from your page versus it coming from theirs, but so like you want it to be in alignment with what you just said, I think, of the if you're doing it where it's like, we run an agency and we're looking for people, have that one come from yours, but you can still have it in the testing, like in a testing bucket of where you're testing against the ones coming from theirs that use that angle that makes sense to come from theirs. Pretty sure you could set it up that way, where you have it coming from this, where you could have one ad coming from one page and another ad coming from another page, and I think that would still be okay. But yeah, so I'd test that way, and really, you want to see which one gets noticed the most, and then which one, after it's getting noticed, which is resulting in the most engagement.
Right.
But you should be able to see pretty early on if it's hitting or not.
Yeah. That's kind of cool how this kind of is folding into my wanting to serve podcast people anyway.
Yeah.
I was like folding on top of each other, like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. I think that same one could work for both, because really it's just that angle of does this feel reasonable that this opportunity in front of me is real, right? And that feels reasonable, where it's like, hey, there's this thing that's happening. Would I be a good fit for this, right?
Right.
And I mean, I don't know. These people are going to be really skeptical, a lot of them, right? Because
we're
getting pitched things all the time, so it may or may not hit, but it does feel like it could be something that people would feel is reasonable,
Yeah. One of my goals too is to actually like publish this stuff as a podcast through, like, there's an API that you can do all that.
Right.
So that's kind of the next question. Like, how do you make it, how do you prove that it's real? Because I mean, Mark, he's been doing this now for 4 years. Jessica, right. Jerry, like we've been doing it. Me and you, we've been doing this for 1.5 years now. Is that right? Almost 2 years. Is that right?
I forget when we started. It's been a bit. It's definitely over a year.
Yeah, I think it's close to 2 years, because we went to Gulf Shores, Alabama, for like the 4th video or something. I was out there.
Right.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah. We've been creating content together for a while.
Pretty amazing.
Indeed. But yeah, I don't know. Does that feel like solid next steps? I forget why we started down that. Like, that was the overall vein of what you're working on. Those are at least the ideas.
Yeah, it was that. All right. How do I make this podcast promotion strategy work? How do I help lenders get the realtor to have that conversation? And either done for them or they could do it. Right. Yeah. And that's because, that's been kind of my big insight, is it used to be this big hullabaloo, like have a webinar, invite them to this 90-day thing. And, the Dean Jackson potato chip marketing, like, how do we make this as easy as possible? Invite them to one. If you like it, then you can follow up and say, hey, I do this with a few people regularly. And again, you're not asking to be married, just, hey, would you like to try this for the next 90 days?
Right.
And then you go from there. And
yep.
What's cool is, like, like it's not just a one-off thing, because you're really like, this is with your referral partners. So
Right.
you're creating an environment where you actually build a relationship to make it
Right.
easier and easier to see if you want to work together.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, yeah, like that's kind of the key to me, as you think through the overarching, like, what's the sequence in this look like? Um, Kind of like I was talking about with the ecosystem idea, that if you're going after the warm list, if they're seeing, even if they're just seeing these requests come up in Facebook somewhat frequently, when you reach out to somebody, if they also saw it on Facebook, it's like a thing that exists in their brain, so they're more likely to say yes, right? They're more likely to already have awareness. So it potentially makes the rest of the process work easier as well. Your ideal is that you'd be able to just run something like this and it just works.
Right.
I think the audience size is potentially something that makes a difference for whether or not that works, right? Like, because there's a thing where not everybody's a good fit for this, for sake of not everybody feels like they know how to hop on a show and do something meaningful, right? And that's another thing that's maybe worthwhile for us to talk about, if there's a good offer or solution that fits into your world that would help make that feel easier for people, right? Where it's like that's not like a low-hanging fruit to solve. It's not where you should focus, but it's a long-term thing that might help to move somebody more into the zone, where it's like, as soon as they try it and they run it in this way, they see that it's easy, but getting over that hurdle for some people might be hard.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Anyway, the reason why I mentioned that, though, is as you're marketing to the warm list, it's like you might have somebody who's a good referral partner, but they may mentally not be ready to do this style of marketing. Like
Right.
I feel like overall, though, that's less common in the real estate space. I could be wrong. I feel like a lot of real estate agents are very happy to talk and be heard. The personalities tend to go that way.
I mean, I think the idea too is, with the lenders, we're saying, look, you can finally be really picky. Right. And like, if they're not into this, like, this just isn't a good system for them. Like, I mean, the purpose is, like, you're helping a realtor actually get video done that will build connection, influence, and authority.
Right.
By meeting with them every other week. And if they don't want that, well, this is there's no value if that's
right.
the case.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to think what other ways, because I mean, there's always the manual ways, right? Like, you reach out, you shoot them a text message, you send them, you give them a phone call. I mean, do you have scripting already for the direct outreaches?
I should ask Mark what he's been doing. He started doing that really well.
Yeah. I would document and formalize that as part of your system, where, so we've talked about kind of the framework for how I think about acquiring audience, right? Where it's buy, borrow, build, blitz, right?
Right.
And so it's good to have systems for any of them, right? Like, what we're talking about here is a buy system. This is an ad that we can put out that the goal is that we get back interested people.
Right.
But if he's doing a direct outreach, that's a blitz strategy, right? Where it's a blitz, you're sending a one-to-one message in order to get people back who are interested. It's still good to document those systems.
Right.
And then there's maybe we can envision that there's build and borrow strategies that would be related to this, right? Where you might be able to, honestly, somebody really wanted to, they might go into a real estate office and be able to do a presentation on video marketing, and from that, say, hey, if you happen to be interested in this, I have room in my schedule to help people implement this. Here's where you go to do it, right? And again, like thinking through, that may not be the ideal people. So, but it's a way to get people into your pipeline.
Right.
And it would be a borrow, right? Like you go to an office and you do this, or you partner with a title company and you put on a thing where you're getting in front of the audience that's already there, already coming, or whatever.
Yeah, and kind of my insight. I mean, lenders are always my clients are lenders that are always looking for realtor partnerships. So they're already, they're looking for a better way. They're already doing that, and I feel like, man, if I can make this easier, if I can deliver the partnerships on a silver platter, they'll really love me and want to pay me a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of, I feel like that could work. I really want to hear how that test goes, where if you run it as an ad of, I run a podcast agency. I'm specifically right now looking for reputable guests that are realtors in this area. If you know anyone who would be a good fit, tag them or connect them. I really want to see how that one does. That feels like a good evergreen thing that you could just keep running, and that feels like that could work well, right? Like, yeah, where it doesn't necessarily feel like it's 100%. This is just going to be a paid thing, and so I'm really skeptical about it. I would still be skeptical, but I don't know. It at least fits into that realm of, this feels like it could be
a lot less. Yeah, it feels like it works.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's part of what I'd be doing, though. I'd be hunting for those different angles of like, what feels natural for somebody, what feels real, because that's part of what's hard about this, is that you actually have a real opportunity that isn't just a veiled sales pitch. It's very much like exactly the way that somebody would want to be sold, which is, if you like this idea, we're actually going to let you get the benefit of it completely for free. And only at that point do we even offer you the way to try it even longer. And guess what? It's still basically for free. And only after you've seen that and seen all the results, that's when we actually ask you to pay for something. It's like, it is so much not the way that people are used to being sold on this stuff. And it's exactly the way that I think most people would want to be sold on this stuff. And yet everyone else has ruined it. So they're super skeptical, and it feeling like like they're just going to assume that it's too good to be true, but it is actually. It's like,
really?
Yeah. And so if somebody's in that zone where they're interested, they should move forward. They should try it. It may not be a good fit, but it's not going to be because they had to pay a bunch of money to experience that first. It's going to be because they get in and figure out it's not a good fit for, they don't want to do the videos. They can't do it consistently, whatever. I don't know. Something else other than, cost being the first reason, because they don't even have to worry about the cost to start. So, anyway.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to go into my Claude project. So, give you an idea. I'm really liking this. So let's see if I can share my screen here. Let's see, is this? Let's see if that works. You see that there?
Yep.
Yeah. So the way this worked, this was the post. You can see she had 139 comments, shares, and she just said, "Hey, fill out this questionnaire so we can have your file for opportunities. And then of course this is their lead generation.
Right.
Email, what's your name? What are you an expert in? Do you have they're wanting to know if these are people that would want to hire them.
Right.
So ours would be different questions, but I think it'd still be good to have some good questions. Like what were the questions that we've already come up with now that I think about it? Like one of them is, do you have room in your business plan for 5 more listings this year?
Right.
Which is true. I should find out what that, because we've got a list of questions. I should put those in here, and
Right.
That could really just be evergreen there.
Right.
So I'm going to put this in a Claude and say, hey, could you help me convert this to, more cheese, less whiskers? Because the truth is, there's a lot of whiskers on this. Like this is the like I ended up not filling it out because I was like, oh, this is a complete sales pitch. All right, like never mind. So I'd want it to be much less whiskers, like truly.
And you could, if you set it up right, like there are some questions that would feel very much in the right vein that do help you too, of like categorizing it. So like here are some of the questions that to me make sense for you. So what's your full name? That's good. What's your email? And what's your direct phone number? So that we can text you potential opportunities. Those feel realistic to me, right? And if they're not willing to do those, like I feel like they're not realistically interested. Other questions that help you are, what's your, what market do you serve? How long have you been in business? I think for real estate agents, like, how many transactions do you do annually or something like that? Or what's your volume, or what's your sales volume or transaction volume annually? I could be wrong, but those don't feel to me like exclusively sales qualification. Like part of it feels like you said that you're looking for reputable agents. Somebody tells me they come into that form and they say I did one transaction last year and it was for $100,000. I'd be like, that doesn't sound like a reputable real estate agent to me. That sounds like somebody either doing this as a hobby or just getting started, right?
Right.
But so I think those questions, but that also helps you too, where like you start to know, does this person at least seem to do enough business that like they might be an opportunity for this, right? Does that make sense? Like you're getting some information. I don't know if it's all necessary or not. The area you work is necessary. You probably also want what's your website so we could check you out and validate you. Please share any social links so that we could validate what you're up to as well. And then from that, like you could look through it and see, like, does this feel like somebody who actually is doing something or not? And that may or may not influence whether or not they are a good partner. But it's less of these that are obviously like, do you meet these qualifications that let us sell you something? And it's a little bit more of like literally understanding them and their business.
Right. Yeah, that's important.
Are there? I know one of your other questions is, do you have a system for working with referrals? Right, like that's one of your other questions. I don't know if that one would be received right at this stage yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of like what other information do you want to know, right? And that we can validate for. Is there anything else that's in your mix of like whether or not referrals while you sleep is a good fit for them?
Yeah, I'm looking at what my questions were. So what do we got? How many years have you been in the industry? How many people are in your contact data? This is just personally. In the past 12 months, how many referrals have you got? How do you feel
that
your
one
current approach is staying top of mind?
So the referrals one, if you worded it right, could be a question that could work. Which, like, if you put like a caveat in there of, we have found that one indicator of a quality agent is that they are often referred business. How many referrals have you received in the past 12 months? Something like that.
Right.
I could see that one being valuable. The contact list, if you worded it right of there might be too much nuance to understanding it, but like I could see asking a question where that would feel relevant, where it's like, hey, we love to feature people that are a win-win, where we can expose them to our audience, but also find new people to get in front of. How big is your contact list?
Right.
Something like that. Does that make sense? Where it's like they're sharing, hey, if you want on, we also want something out of it. How big is your contact list? That gives you some of that information that you're looking for too. That could make sense to be in there. If worded right, it could feel at least like it makes sense. Like it feels right. Keeping it simple though. I think name, contact information, website, and like the market that they serve might be all that you need though. Because really the process itself sort of validates it. I mean, honestly, like it makes me think of like our VA hiring process, right? Where does the person actually show up and do the thing? Because if they do, that's a really big indicator of potentially a good option. And all the other stuff almost doesn't matter. Maybe the number of transactions, where like years in business, the number of transactions, those potentially feel important. Not necessarily, you don't need somebody doing a ton of transactions, but you don't want somebody who's like doing nothing.
Right.
And so that like that range could be useful as an indicator, but
Mark's been focusing really on people doing like 10 to 20 deals a year. Like that's his ideal, not the Goldilocks number, not too much, not too little.
Right. Yeah, and that feels about right. I mean, it takes being a serious agent to average about a transaction a month. The agents who are just sort of getting by tend to be operating more in the deal a quarter range. Our cat is making weird noises. Do you hear that?
I do not.
Which cat is that? You okay? She just started making really weird noises. She's getting old, so hopefully she's all right. But anyway,
might be it.
Yeah. I think some of those questions, would work well. Could always run a test to see if you're getting enough responses or not. And part of whenever it comes to those forums, part of what I'm always looking for is like, at what point am I okay with losing conversions if I don't get this information?
Right.
And if there's ever a question that I'm like, I wouldn't sacrifice the conversion over getting this information, then
Right.
I typically don't want to add it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I strive to look at the questions on something from that standpoint of, because adding more questions does typically hurt conversions. And so acknowledging that, it's less about, do I want to know this information? It's more, is it worthwhile for me to get nothing if I can't get this? If I can't get this information?
Right.
Because if it's not worthwhile to get nothing, then it may not be a good question to ask. Unless you unless you have like a form that lets you have your cake and eat it too, where it gets like partial entries and stuff like that, so you can see the people who are interested but dropped off at a certain point.
Right.
Anyway, does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, I like that. That's the question. And I'll talk to Claude about that today. Now that I've got my max subscription.
Right. Yeah, good call. And we'll have the transcript for this too, so you can even feed this context in.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, cool. I think yeah, so let's see. I probably need to hop pretty soon just for sake of getting some food and at least having a transition between this. But the thing that I need to work on is thinking through what my next steps are on like what I'm doing business wise. So this past week has been hard, and I'm not like, I don't know how to describe this. I've lost the momentum, and so I don't even know what I'm working on right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I know one of the things that I know that I need my strategy for how I am consistently and reliably creating conversations for myself. And one of the things that I needed to do is kind of get clear on really some of the same stuff we're talking about here. Like what is my show concept? Because podcasting is prospecting is one of the ways that I've most consistently been able to like reliably find contacts for something and like create opportunities where I connect to somebody, and then this is a thing that gives me the opportunity to have a conversation and see if there's any opportunity. So I sent you the document about kind of how I'm thinking about shifting how I describe my stuff, and it deals with what we talked about. Maybe not the last time that we talked, but one of our recent Get Shipped Done shows where we were talking through like what do I need to do with my show, and I feel like that might work as a way that I sort of have my cake and eat it too, where I get to have the content that works for the audience that I'm like, where I get to turn that session into something that works for me, communicating to my audience. But where I also get to do the thing that I kind of really need to do, which is demonstrating my expertise of how I could take somebody's topic and show them how to create something valuable that their audience will actually want to receive, that still moves toward a sale. Does that idea make sense of what I laid out there? Like what stood out to you about it? What does make sense? What doesn't make sense? Talk me through that.
By the way, I just sent you $500 because you helped me out a lot. So it's in your video.
Well, thank you.
Gotta take care of my AIZR. And the more time that the right prospect spends with you, the better it is. You just have to go above and beyond to like make sure that it's incredibly valuable for them no matter what.
Right.
So you can't and that's both to your audience and the person you're talking to. So like most people would not have two shows, but for you, like you just have to be complete,
Right.
I could see there maybe being maybe you don't commit to 2 right away. Maybe you commit to 1 and then offer a second one. You know,
Right.
um, I can see that. My friend, Jamie does this. I know a bunch of like high-end coaches. When they get a referral, they say, hey, I'm going to set aside an hour or 2 hours. I mean, it's the Frank Kern closing strategy, right?
Right.
Like, you set aside time to really help them, and I know Adam Scheibel, he does that with his 30-minute coaching thing. It's a live Zoom. And, he says, what's your, we're going to talk about one thing, like what's the number one thing? And he solves that number one thing because that feels good to him. He's not giving away a ton of info. He can actually get something done in 30 minutes. And
Right.
so all that makes sense. You've got one where it's, really about them, promoting them, it's content. And then the second one, it's really, a recorded coaching call where you can give them value and it's recorded so other people can see it. And it's complete. So I think that's what makes sense.
Well, and I think part of it is that I've just needed to clarify how I describe it too. And maybe part of what I could say is like, hey, here's the outcome. So part of what I'm going to do is I need to think through the flow of this. So part of what we do is, one, I work with you to really dial in a really solid episode, a solid bit of content that is designed to reach your ideal prospect, your ideal customer, your ideal client, and through content, show them how your product is the natural next step for them to achieve what they want. Right. So I help you do that. And we're going to work on that and figure out what that content would look like. For some people, that content is a great fit for my audience. And so I publish it to my audience too. For some people, that content is not a great fit for my audience. And so it doesn't go out to my audience, but we do produce it for you. And so we do make sure that you get access to this to be able to share it with your audience, to leverage it, take it further. And we give you some guidance on how to do that. For me, one of the things that we do that's always a great fit for my audience is we talk through your business at a meta level. We talk through your business about how you're reaching people, about what you're working on, those sorts of things. And that is always great content for my audience. And so we will feature you to my audience regardless. But we kind of do that through two different potential strategies. Like, I don't know, maybe it's that way that I talk about it, where because there will be some that's like, if I feel like it's a fit, then great, I'll share it out to my audience too. But I just imagine as I do this, there's going to be some portion that like I either need to figure out the right way to share it with my audience, or I don't know. Does that make sense? Where it's like it needs to be encapsulated with the right context for people to understand why I would share it with them if it's content that's not geared toward them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the angle too, of like, recent places where I've appeared, or I don't know. There might be something there where it's like when I share it out, it's more of a, like, it may not end up in my podcast feed, but it's linked out to in emails or something. I don't know. I can't think of a great way to do that yet, but I because like that's part of what I'm trying to cover is if I'm gonna pitch, hey, here's what you get out of this. Do you want it? That's the I need to be able to do that authentically, where I'm not promising somebody that I'm gonna promote them to my audience with what I typically do, which is how I'm going to focus on you and help you create this thing. And the idea is that it's going to my audience. That won't always be able to happen depending on the person that I'm talking to. Right. And so I need the mechanism that's like this, you will be featured to my audience, but not this part. This part will. One of the one of the things that I've seen another person do a strategy where they do an interview swap, where like I interview them for my show, and then they interview me for their show. I've seen that as a strategy too. This is kind of like a variation on that, if that makes sense. Where where the expectation is like when I'm interviewing you, the whole idea is that you're supposed to look like an expert, and potentially find opportunity in my audience. When you interview me, it's about me being promoted to your audience. So I'm kind of covering that with this idea of the way that I get what I need to for my audience is to talk about these things, right? To come on and talk about these topics. The way that I potentially help you get more business from what you're doing is that we focus on you and that value add, and you can put that out to your audience. You can put that out on your socials, that sort of thing, if it's not a good fit for mine.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And then I think that makes it so that I could start reaching out to people. I could start making connections. I could invite them on. I could invite them on. Say, hey, I'd love to have you on my show. And what's interesting, I don't necessarily need to communicate all of this up front.
Right.
But I need to have the understanding so that as the questions come up, I kind of know how to address them. I've experienced this. Otherwise, part of what happens is I just don't do the outreaches because I'm like, I don't see how this connects up. I don't see how.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that make sense? Like I don't know how to just take the action when I don't see how the pieces come together.
It really makes me think. It'd be great to try that. Adam's My Agent X, to just get a list of like your potential people and program it to just call for you and see if it can book appointments for you.
Right.
Because it doesn't have, I think it's fair to say both me and you are great at selling other people's stuff, but have major blocks at selling our own. Right. And that's what it kind of, because it's a great offer you've got.
Right.
Me and you both overthink it. We spend enough time on Alex Ramosi that we know what a good offer is. We put one together.
Right.
We just don't promote it enough.
Right. Yeah.
That sound fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's part of it that's like, there's like, you still see this in Alex Ramosi's stuff of like, so we have really dialed in $100 million offers in terms of, and somewhat, but you're right. Like we have that part pretty well dialed. That feels really solid and well thought through. There's always more that you could do anyway, but the $100 million leads portion, there's still nuance and strategies, like what actually works to generate those opportunities, to find the people that are ready to perceive the offer. And it isn't, unfortunately, as simple as just, here's the offer, like now it works. So there is some level of, you have to figure out the processes to be able to flow through getting the leads, generating the leads, and converting the leads. And yeah, having some sort of system for it.
Animal. That's a different animal that, the truth is, like, I'm glad that me and you have focused on the offer part first.
Right.
I mean, it's, that's one of the things he mentioned. And I mean, I really do think we should try out that Agent X for our stuff and just say, hey,
What's the pricing model look like for it? What's
what is it? I think.
And can it make cold calls to outbound people? I thought that's technically illegal.
I mean, it's on you to make sure they're not on the do not call list, right?
Okay. Right.
But a lot of people are not on the do not call list.
Right.
And let's see, I don't see it here. I want to say it's like 30 or 40 bucks a month, and you get so many minutes
right.
for it. And with like a 7-day trial or whatever. There's also a pay-as-you-go plan, which is cool.
Say again, what was the pricing?
Let's see if I can log in and see. I'm already logged in. No. I don't know if I can get in this. Let's see. Looks like I'm in. So you can upload the leads. You can integrate. Nice, with a bunch of different stuff now. That's good. They've been adding a lot to it.
Yeah, I mean the key thing that I'm seeing, I'd have to double check, and what I've seen has said that outbound calls to people who have not opted in, that is illegal regardless. Well, I'm double checking. I'm using Grok to do a search because it has to do with the TCPA around making calls, robocalls with AI generated voices. Let me see. The proposed rules include exceptions for technologies used to answer inbound calls. So inbound calls are okay. Speech or hearing disabilities, excluding telemarketing or advertising. The FCC sought comment on whether such examples could be abused by scammers. Okay. Opt out. Asked whether consumers have the option to opt out. Still permitting non-AI. Yeah. So the thing that typically seems to that seems to matter is whether or not you have prior written consent, which to me turns it from being an outbound into an inbound, right? As soon as you've got prior, to get prior written consent, it has to be like somebody who said, yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with receiving a call this way.
So do you think there'd be an issue if you called and said, hey, I'm calling because my boss has a podcast and is looking for a realtor uh, to feature. Are you interested? That would be illegal, since you're like, if you call someone and say, hey, my boss wants to give you $20, like.
So it's no, specifically AI, the AI generated portion of it is what they have problems with. So if a human did that, they're okay with it. If AI does it, they're not.
Gotcha.
As far as I'm understanding, now again, the one of the things that makes it different, if somebody opts in and says, like, yeah, I'm okay with receiving a call this way, then at that point it's okay. But you have to generate the lead first, right? So it's the outbound portion. They really want it to be a human, and I think part of it is because they are trying very much to not have it be something that gets out of control, right? Because you know how it's going to be abused. But yeah, that's based on me just doing a quick Grok search without really looking into the full legalities of it. There is some level of like, what's the likelihood of it running into problems, which is a different question, right? Because it's one of those things that might technically be illegal, but you might not run into issues with either, right? Depending on who you're calling and to what extent. But that being said, I mean, it is definitely the kind of thing, like, I could, if I did need it to be a human, I could find the person to make those calls too. But yeah, I'll have to talk to Adam about it, just to see like what circumstances are they set up where they feel comfortable, confident and comfortable too, because like this is very much a moving landscape, and some of this stuff, like some of those regulations were maybe supposed to go into effect but aren't in effect, and so like we might be in a window where it's okay too. Because I know there was some stuff that was like put on hold when Trump took office, that like regulations for other things that were supposed to come through that may not be currently in effect. So there's also that. But
right.
But yeah, those would be the things that I would be concerned about, though, trying to implement on it.
Makes sense. Yeah, it'll be interesting to find out what they've got going on, how that works.
Right. Yeah, because like if a lead has come inbound and given consent for it, then you have the ability to. The outbound prospecting is the portion that the regulations potentially apply to. But anyway.
Right.
Yeah. I think like my general strategy. Well, let's talk through this. Who should I target and how do I find them?
So I mean, a simple thing, like I've been blown away at how effective BNI has been.
Right.
So I think you should come to BNI, and I think you should focus on SaaS, founder-led SaaS companies that are between 20 and 50K or 30 and 50K MRR. I think you should probably do the BNI speed dating, maybe try that, because they've got that once a week. I'm talking to someone, I was talking to someone this week. He was asking how referrals when he sleep was. I was telling him the update. He's like, man, like, I'd be happy to get a BNI membership and just go to all the virtual BNI meetings and just do that. I think that would be a great, simple way. I mean, you've got a great offer, right?
Right.
I'm looking to feature SaaS founders. And then you can probably look at, let's see.
So tell me more about that, because my connection with BNI so far, this could be this seems like an area where you know more than I do, which makes sense. You've been in that space drastically longer, and I mean in general, obviously there's things you know that I don't know, but this specifically, like you know more and have an intuitive understanding that I don't have that same intuitive understanding. So tell me more about, like, if you're me very specifically, walk me through the steps of, I'm going to leverage BNI to do this. What do I do?
Yeah. So I would.
So I joined BNI.
Yeah,
that's step one.
Join BNI. Join our group, because me and you can just naturally send a lot of referrals with each other. And there's two ways to do it. And the first is like part of our group, and we try to bring in people that are just referral partners.
Right.
Like that's just great. The second thing is you can visit any BNI in the world. I think 2 or 3 times a year. So I've often told people here locally, and this is where the virtual just really blows my mind. I've told people, like in Nashville, there's probably 20 different BNI chapters. I'll tell someone, like, go and visit every single one, and this is what you do. You get to know them a little bit. Afterwards, send them a thank you card. Great to meet you, or a text. Set up a 1-to-1 with any of them that seem like it would be, helpful. My favorite thing to do is
tell me more about
the first time.
Set up a 1-to-1 with anyone that feels like it would be helpful. What do you mean?
Yeah, so one of the cool magic tricks about BNI that I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say this is people that are in BNI are really trusted, respected, and well connected. It's cool that they're. And so they know a lot of people, or they know people who know people. And and these people, they because you're part of BNI already, they actually already trust you. And they're used to thinking, how can I, giver's gain? How can I help you without even getting helped? Like, how can I connect you with other people? Because that's the value that I give to the people in my network. Like, I am a connector. Like, that is a value.
Right.
And and there's probably some people that, all right, I gotta tell you this funny. Sometimes it's not a good fit. So back in the day, part of my BNI group, we had this guy come in, and he was probably 400 pounds.
Right.
And he was advertising this itch wrap, like weight loss thinning looking thing.
Okay.
And
right.
He didn't have a whole lot of credibility.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So there's there's always going to be people that visit, or just, you just don't click with it.
Right.
But for the most part, like a lot of the people, if they've been there, they're trustworthy. They want to help you.
Right.
And so my favorite thing is I set a 1-to-1 with them, and I spend the first time just finding about their business. Like, really, I treat it like my podcast. How do you get into the business? Who's your best referral partner? You know, who's your worst client? Who's your best client?
Right.
And then what worked the best for me was I had some kind of simple presentation, or I'd say, look, you know, I'd love to share with you what I do. I don't think it's for you. And like I would walk through what I do with them. And I'd say, you know, who do you know that fits? And like you may only get one referral from 5 or 6 one-to-ones with that group. But that one referral will be so nice and smooth and helpful that, and you might get more. You know, like you built a relationship, and then I would just follow up with them again with another little thank you note. Like what you're doing is you're just building this powerful network of people who know the purpose of business is referral and givers gain.
Right.
And they're, you know, trusted, connected, and respected. And so
real quick, let me just make sure I'm understanding. So the people that I do the one-to-one with, is it anybody in the group that I feel like I connect with, or how do you approach that? So you mentioned like if there's somebody that you're obviously like, I don't think I can ever refer this person. They don't have the credibility. So like you mentioned that. So that's an obvious like not that person. But what about the other people? Is it nearly everybody, or is it talk me through that?
Yeah, so how would I narrow it down? If I was going to narrow it down, I would probably do it with people on the leadership team first. And then I would ask them, who should I do a one-to-one with next? If you're wanting to narrow it down. The other good answer is...
How do you approach it?
How do I approach it? What have I done? I've just done it with anyone. So like, So like, and I'll give you an example. So like, we had a visitor come the other day, and he said, you know, he works with lenders. And I was like, oh, we might be a perfect connection. So I was just like, hey, can I reach out to you? So we talked for a little bit, and it just wasn't a good fit. Like we weren't a good like network fit. So that's cool. Like I didn't do anything with it. Some other visitor came and was like, oh, this guy might be cool. So we set up a one-to-one in a couple of weeks, and so I'm really okay having a couple 30-minute conversations. But what I'm looking for people that feel like, I mean, I've never said that before, but trusted, connected, and respected. You know, like, and I don't know, like my guess is as you do it, you'll find out who those people are, you know, get a feel for it. You know, I was the real estate agent. I worked with the lender. Those, like, you know, I feel like you could go well with those. In our group, of course, Adam knows everybody. So, you know, Adam would be a great one. Who else? Again, I go to the realtor and the lender because they just, like, again, they're networkers. They have to know a lot of people. Who else in our group? Thinking, like in our group, Steve. You know, he's the education coordinator. But like, I mean, he's got this huge network of people. And so I expect, like, if I wanted a shortcut, I'll just start with the leadership team and then ask them, who should I talk to next? And and I would just be really clear on, hey, do you know anyone that runs their own software company or serves software companies? And I would, like, I think that would be a good referral for you.
That makes sense. And then tell me more about, so like I get what you're describing for this this specific group? You mentioned the virtual groups though, and like the visiting. How does that portion of the process work?
Yeah. So
So like
I
I
have
get
not visited.
here's my understanding. For instance, I know right now I join up this group, and I'm planning to. So I join up this group, and I know it meets on Fridays. I feel like I get the basics of what it means to be part of that group, interacting with that group, the people in that group, setting up connections from there. I get that portion for that group. Tell me about the visiting and all of that. So how does it go beyond that group specifically?
Yeah. So two things. One, every week on Tuesday, they've got, it's kind of new. They call it BNI Speed Networking, where, and I haven't done it yet. Steve's done it. Where I think you get put in a group with maybe 4 or 5 other people. I could be way off. It might be just one other person. But for, I don't know, I think like 5 or 10 minutes. And so you get to meet a whole bunch of people that are part of BNI. Really like within an hour, you get to meet a bunch of them. What's cool is all of those people are, and I'm trying to log in here. It's not letting me. All of those people are in BNI and part of a BNI group. And so you could ask them, hey, what BNI group are you part of? Are you guys looking for visitors? I'd love to come visit. So that's a simple way. You could probably also look, and I'm checking here. So if I look at BNI Nashville, so I'm just going to do this.
So you mentioned you're only supposed to be able to visit 2 to 3 times a year. Are you saying in this case though, if they're looking for visitors, like, does it?
Oh, that's per group.
Oh, gotcha. So like if I find a group that I really like, then I'm like, hey, I could go this time and then this time and then this time, like that sort of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. And I mean, in our group, we've got Shannon, who's a CPA, and I don't know, she's probably been 7 or 8 times. She's been a guest sometimes. So I don't even know how, like Adam, the way he runs his group, he's like, yeah, like, hey, come as much as you want. Like we've got a bunch that we'd love to have you. The more the merrier.
Right. That makes sense. So it's there's kind of like the standard culture of it, which is it's sort of expected that you could readily visit 2 to 3 times, but the culture of the group might be like, we don't care. Come as often as you want, as long as as long as we don't have somebody directly competing with you or something like that.
Right,
like
exactly. Yeah. And
that makes sense.
And so like here, I'm going to share, I mean, this might be silly, but
you're not sharing your screen, by the way. I don't know if you're
not yet. Here. So let's see. So what I did, I just searched BNI Nashville.
Okay.
I don't know of a better way to do it. There probably is. But here's BNI Tennessee. I'll click find a chapter. Let's see if this works. Maybe chapter map. I'm just going to click both of these tabs. I don't know which one's going to work. So here's the search. All right, meeting type, permanent online. Let's just see. Yeah, so Nashville and Kentucky has two meetings that are permanently online.
Right.
And I bet if we went hybrid, there's probably some that are still listed as hybrid. Let's just say it's this one.
Oh, the one that The one that we that we're doing is out of California, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering why it didn't show up on here, but that makes more sense.
Yeah. So BNI is kind of, I think it's a franchise. So you've got big one, you got regions, and you got individual. And so like I'm guessing there's probably multiple different meetings just for
probably build a scraper that would find all of them too, because it looks like all the websites appear to be the same.
Yeah.
Scroll down to the scroll down to the bottom, just the very bottom of this page. Chapters, members, calendar, join us, contact us, apply and renew, member resources. I bet if you did I'd be interested. I bet if you did an exact match search for like what's in those lower nav menus, you'd be able to find all of the different BNI sites.
Yeah, I wonder if there's BNI chapter search global.
Yeah, BNI.com. There you go.
That was a lead form that I tried to, maybe that's just what you have to do. Maybe here's BNI America. Oh yeah, here we go. Meeting type, permanent online.
There we go.
Yeah, okay. That was easier. And yeah, so I mean, you can literally go to any. You can also, actually thinking about this, I bet there's a way to try to find, like, it's easy for me. Like, I'm looking specifically for lenders and realtors.
Right.
Almost everyone's going to have a lender or realtor.
Right.
But I wonder, like, if we go here, it'd be fun to see if you can find yeah, so you can go here and kind of see who all's in it.
Right.
So they've got they got real estate all over the place there. That's amazing. Estate planning attorney, mortgages, restoration company, real estate agent, real estate, like auction, property and casualty. Is that it? So there's 10. I bet there's probably a way to find out, who you're, like, there's probably like a, I don't know, like a SaaS coach, or, probably like a financial planner or CPA person that works with SaaS companies. Like, one of those might be all that you need.
Right.
And
there's a find a member for BNI as well. Chapter company. I wonder if I search SaaS in the company for find a member, wonder if anything will pop up.
Under keyword.
There we go. There's at least one person that has SaaS in the title. What do you bet that they're go high level?
Probably. So I put in the keyword SaaS,
Uh-huh.
And we've
Yeah,
got,
that
I don't know what,
that's
Thrive,
that's the person that I found too.
Schooley, business law. So this could probably be a
Okay.
good one.
Right.
Uh, Forever Employer, Group Benefits,
Interesting.
IT Network.
Socio Squares.
There's actual
Computer programming. Oh, computer software. There we go. So that is a category.
Yeah.
Let me see. And I'm not logged in, so I might not get to see everything that you do.
Can we
Advanced
search
search.
category?
Doesn't look like, but if I put
I bet if I'm
keyword,
logged in. I searched software this time.
yeah, software, I feel like might pull up a good amount. There we go.
Yeah, 250.
Cities Business Alliance, computer programming. Oh wait, I don't. Oh, I see the. There we go. Axe Media Inc. 2am.tech, Gemini LLC, Advaya, Socio Squares. What is Socio Squares? That sounds interesting to me. Computer software. There we go. Digital marketing, software development. We go into software development. Okay, so these guys are potentially a good fit for sake of their clients.
Right.
Their clients might be my people.
Right, which is, I mean, really what I think, I think the two things that B&I are like most powerful for is one, you bring in your referral partners.
Right.
Because that way, I mean, you do a one-to-one auto. I mean, like me and you are going to do a one-to-one every single week, probably 3. This counts as
right.
one.
Right.
More that
tell me more about that. Why does that matter? Like I mean, I know how it matters for you and I and our business and all of that. Why does it matter in the B&I world?
So B&I talks a lot about the trust curve.
Okay.
Which is like when you first meet someone, like they don't trust you as much. Now, if they're referred to you, you have a level of trust. But and so if I mean really kind of so I've never thought about this before. Oh, this is amazing. This is really, really cool. Like switch. Wow, this explains B&I so well. This book, The Like Switch, by former CIA agent, talks about how people like you. Friendship. So friendship is proximity, how close are you? Frequency, how often? Duration, how long? And intensity. So what's cool is your weekly B&I meeting hits frequency and proximity.
Right.
Your one-to-one hits your duration and intensity.
Okay.
When you are one-to-one, so it does two things. One, the one-to-one lets you, like, I would say your goal should be to find out who else do they need to get in the group. That's their natural partner.
Right.
Who's a great client? Who's a bad client? And in general, who are their wells? Who are their big referral partners? Like that's the purpose of one-to-one. Also, like you just get to know the people. Like, I mean, like I did some one-to-ones with people and like I didn't feel good about it. Like, all right, like, give it some time, and then if it's not a good fit, like, all right, I'm just not going to refer you. Like, I'm sorry, I can't right now.
Right.
But most of the time, what it does is it helps the trust curve. And then also you get to.
Well, I mean, to be clear, like, I don't know, you mentioned you and I doing it. Does that help you in BNI somehow? Like, I get how it helps us. I get it. Like, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. So a good BNI group, like that, they've done it. They've tried a bunch of different things. What happens if we don't meet weekly? What happens if we meet virtually? What are the things that create the most business? And the things that create the most business are do at least one-to-one a week with people in your chapter. Do some kind of continuing education about relationship-based businesses, referral-based businesses.
What is that? Continuing education about that?
So that BNI has podcasts and books and stuff. So, spend 30 minutes, learning, like, hey, what getting better at having a referral-based business, right?
Right.
And they've got official CEU things. Like, if you listen to the podcast, I basically study this for my life. So some of their stuff's good. Actually, their stuff's really good. A lot of my best ideas have come from being indoctrinated.
Right.
Sending one referral a week.
Does it matter if the referral is within BNI or not? For sake of what they say matters.
The goal is one referral within the group each week. And so that's the reason you want to bring in your natural referral partners. Because, like, I am not going to be able to send the realtor, the lender. Like, I'm not going to be able to send those people. There's a chance I may never be able to send them a referral because they're in Ventura County, California. I'm in Nashville. Now, as we bring in more people virtually that have virtual services, we probably can. But like, there's two ways to do it. Is one, I can try to seek out a referral for, like, Sandra from that does the. But that's kind of taken me away from my business.
Right.
So instead, like, the reason I do it one-to-one is, like, I am thinking, all right, how can she serve my clients? Like, my intent is up. If I run into someone that needs Latin speaking VA, I've got the girl. It makes it really good. But for me, like, I don't want to go out of my way. The goal is, like, this is supposed to let's go with the flow more.
Right.
So, like, my insight is, let's bring in our natural referral partners. And what BNI ends up doing then is it creates an environment with, like, guardrails to make sure that we stay in touch. If anything goes crazy with them, there's group accountability, and we get additional referrals for free. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
I think so. What was the last part? Additional referrals for free? What do you mean by that?
Like, I bring in my referral partners, and the other people in the group may send me referrals from time to time, and that's just a bonus.
That makes sense. And
so I do.
Go ahead.
I do view them. I like viewing them as my outside sales. Like, they are trusted, connected, and respected, and so like they're naturally networking with people. They're naturally meeting a lot of people. So there's a high chance that they'll send us people. Probably much more so than me and you being, virtually online. Which, I guess we network with a lot of people. It's just online. Instead of a lot of these people go out to Chamber of Commerce and Rotary, and they do a bunch of stuff.
That makes sense. Interesting. So yeah, so part of how you see the opportunity, it'll be interesting because, like, sometimes I've just found this is like an interesting aspect of this. Like, there's a really good alignment for you for sure, because lenders and realtors, everybody knows multiple of both easily, right? Maybe not everybody does, but like lots of people do. For the zone that I'm going after is a little bit more niche, so I may not find as many of the connections coming in from that. I don't know a ton of people who, the number of people who know people who own software companies is really network dependent, right?
So for yours, it might be, and this is where you kind of got to figure it out.
Right.
And like I just spent, I mean, I was in a BNI group probably for a decade, so I just spent way too much time thinking about this.
Right.
Yours might be, you ask everyone to connect you to tax attorneys or financial planners or CPAs,
Right.
people who serve those. And you may talk to a CPA and he's like, I don't work with many SaaS companies, but my buddy in Virginia does. I need to connect you to him.
Right.
And like, what's cool is you're not hunting and you've got, and it's not cold. You're getting the warm up. You've got and that's where the one-to-one comes in place too. You can literally say, hey, I'd love to do a one-to-one with you.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it allows for like the same thing that I do on the podcast portion, but with there's already a culture of it. People are expecting and trying to do these, right? They're expecting and trying to do this action as part of this group, and there's sort of an understanding that not every one of them is gonna work out. But so it's a meaningful. This is a consistent action that you could take that creates a ripple effect, where even if that one doesn't work out, they make the connection to the one that does. You do enough of them. Yeah, it's a numbers game that isn't it's a better feeling numbers game where everybody.
It's a fun numbers game.
Yeah, where like even if it doesn't result in the direct sale right then, it was still, you learned about each other. That was the expectation of what's going to happen there. Do they have information or documentation on like how to do a good one-to-one?
They do, yeah. That's where the CEUs come in. Julie just shared something with us. She's been a great VP. So she said, this is what she just sent. Let's see if I can find it. Window. So this was one of the things that she said would be good to share is, and so this is basically, like, who are your referral partners? Right. And who are other referral partners that could work? Like, you let them know that.
Right.
And you ask them the same thing, like, who's your best client? Who's your worst client? Who are, my favorite is, who's your referral? Well is what I keep saying, but I've got to come up with a better term. Like, who's the person that can just send you referral after referral after referral?
Right.
That's, it's the Dream 100. Like, who are those people that can be big like that?
Who is that person for you that you figured out? Who's your referral well?
So interesting enough, going through my numbers, I mean, lenders are, because lenders bring multiple realtors and lenders stay for a long time. The other might be people that serve lenders, of course.
That makes sense.
So
have you tried going after title folks?
I haven't yet. I've thought about that.
Just because title folks will typically be connected to a lot of lenders, typically be connected to a lot of realtors. So that could be a good zone, and it's kind of a similar thing. Title folks tend to have a really hard time marketing themselves because their end product is not something that anybody like is actively seeking out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They have to always be like doing tangential marketing. Because like I don't know of anybody that's like, man, I really sought out title. It's always like I had to do this. So
yeah, I've thought maybe that would be the. So what? This is how spoiled I am. I've been trying to think like, how do I get like a glowing referral connection to a lender from a time,
right.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe I do that for them. I don't know that it really helped them as much, because I mean, they're. But I mean, like, what my big realization, and I don't know, I told you one of my buddies, I saw him doing last Friday. He's like, dude, there's a way I want to sell referrals while you sleep for you. I'm happy to get a BNI membership and just go to all of the virtual BNIs. And I was like, I mean, like, I really think that, I really think that's all that I need. Like, I think that referrals while you sleep is ready to really go nuclear, because there are people that already believe in relationship marketing. They're probably already asking for realtors. If they're doing virtual Zoom, they're already comfortable on Zoom.
Right.
And I mean, we saw the list. I mean, how many virtual ones were there? A lot. I think maybe it stops at 250.
Right.
But there's more than that. You can just go per state. Or maybe it's 250. I mean, that's a lot of meetings.
Are you labeling them? Is that what you're doing? Perfect. Here, just a second. I need to turn off my video for just a second so my wife could complete a project, but I'm still here. Okay. She would not want to be on camera right now. She needs to label this window behind us for for sake of this home renovation thing. We have to take.
Hey, Heidi.
Charlie says hi. I don't know if you can hear her. She's quiet. She said hi.
I just assumed. I assumed she said hi back.
Yeah, she did. She did. What's that?
It's all labeled. It's all.
I don't know if you need a label. Double check the list of what we need to accomplish, if you can, and like what rooms and what they're doing. Anything that needs to come down should be labeled. What? Okay. But that makes a lot of sense. So like what I hear you saying is, for me, there's a workable strategy of I can target virtual groups and visit. And what do you have to do to visit? What does that look like? Do you reach out and say, "Hey, can I visit?" Or like what's the strategy for that?
Let's see. By the way, this just showed there was 365 permanently online meetings, so that's good.
Nice.
Usually, let's see. Let's back up. Let's see. So one way, let's see if we open this in a new tab.
And I just do it.
So you got this on each, you just visit this chapter. It's probably the best way to do it.
Okay.
Let's see if it'll. Did that work? The other is you can just like find out who's the chapter leadership and what, like the visitor host,
Right.
and just say, hey, I'd like to visit, and that's probably what I would do. I would reach out to either the president. I wouldn't reach out to the secretary; they're busy. That's the thing that does the most here. But yeah,
Right.
that's probably what I would do. I would reach out to them.
Let's
Or-
scroll down. What's the visitor host?
So the visitor host, I am one of the visitor hosts for our group. Usually have one or two, in the in-person meetings, they stay at the front of the door, and when people walk in, they haven't met before. It's kind of like the visitor host at church, or the parking lot.
It's like a greeter.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so in our group, like when we've got a visitor, Adam will let us know, and I'll reach out to him. Hey, looking forward to meeting you. I get on a little bit early, talk with the folks. So just make them feel really comfortable. That's their goal.
Perfect.
Yeah. And and then you can just fill this out, I guess. Let's see.
Are you already logged in on that one?
I don't think this is like, their technology isn't my favorite. So I don't think there's a way to do that in the back end. Let's see.
Gotcha.
So you'd probably just have to fill this out, choose your date to visit, and then do that. So you could, just pick them at random. You could do the speed dating. You could search for certain members and just go to those. Would be good. But I think tax people that work with software, of course, any of these possible people could work real well.
Right.
For you.
And honestly, like,
I think
that might be the right person. Like, I don't know exactly the right way to ask for it, but those people, if I ask them, hey, who's your tax person? Who's your
Right.
CPA? Who's your accountant? Because they likely have other people that are like that too, right?
Yeah. And most of these people, they're probably going to have a network. They're going to have a mastermind, and that's what's
Right.
cool is, you can serve all of them,
Right.
all their friends. Yeah. I think you can just get a bunch of warm introductions here.
Right. Central Peneus. Where was that one?
Where was that?
Oh, there we go. Wesley Chapel, Florida. Just that's a uncommon name. Scroll up. Is that the chapter name or what is that?
The chapter name is BNI Genesis.
Gotcha.
Peneus, it's a county.
Okay,
Peneus
gotcha.
County. Or I think they call it Pinellas. It's Florida, yeah. But I'm not sure. I could be way wrong. Could be way wrong.
Pinellas. It reminds me of Vegas. They called it Valley Verde. But it's right next to Greenway, which Spanish for Greenway would be Valle Verde. But they called it Valley Verde.
Valley Verde. I like it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that I like that as a strategy. I like that as a strategy, and I could see how it potentially applies to like other zones and other networks as well. I like there's a. I wonder. It doesn't necessarily matter, but I'm just curious. Nearbound. So like this nearbound. The Who economy. Nearbound reveal. Continue struggling with traditional go-to markets for land. Look for answers. Who can help me so they look who have been promoted to make purchasing decisions. Where partnership teams supercharge revenue with Reveal, leverage the power of your partner's data to accelerate sales and win more deals. It's the nearbound revolution. Fully secure CRM to CRM automation across your partner ecosystem. Join a network of 12,000 plus companies and start boosting revenue. So like this nearbound. Here, let me show you this. I went to a webinar, or I signed up for a summit rather. Let me add this to the stage. There we go. I signed up for a summit from this company where they're talking about this nearbound concept, and like part of what this concept is like people sharing their data to be able to make better decisions. But the other part of it is it anybody who's interested in this is also come on, wait. Is it my browser? There we go. Find partners, grow your ecosystem, leverage the fastest growing network in the market, initiate partnerships, evaluate partner potential, book a demo, start for free. But like a lot of these are SaaS companies, and part of like being part of this, you see this account overlap. Actually, by the way, this might be worthwhile for you to sign up for. Maybe, I don't know. You might not have enough people for it to be the same kind of thing where you see a good fit here, but you can find. But like part of what they're trying to show is they're trying to show who are the other companies who already have a lot of your same people, and talk to them and maybe work together. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. This could be a good. This could be.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the same idea, right?
Right. And like a lot of these companies though are software vendor, service provider, agency, service provider. Anyway, so yeah, like the whole like this reveal and then this nearbound concept, it's very much like that idea of like finding referral partners and how all that works. But there's kind of a software behind it, and from what I could tell, a lot of the companies that they have in there are more in the vein of like the SaaS companies, or like, does that make sense? So BNI is very much the small the
brick and mortar.
The small brick and mortar, and at least its history is often very local. That seems to be like a similar idea for the BNI stuff, but it's like serving for the connections for people that aren't just locally focused. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's really
but
cool.
but honestly, like hearing what you're saying about BNI, I don't know how much of that culture is present there, where it's like just because you're listed there, you're used to like just networking and so like what's interesting to me is like thinking having the process and the experience in BNI might equip one with tools that actually make sense in that other environment, if that makes sense. That where you sort of approach it as if they were in BNI, if that makes sense, where it's like you build the connections and you find the people that make sense, but it's a good data source of who's in there and kind of already like if they're signing up on that website, they're kind of already looking at like who are the other people that we could work with that are similar.
Yeah.
And for my approach, that's real. Like anybody that's in there, I think is a decent fit for my approach, because part of what's worked so well for me is helping people find those partnerships and doing content together, because you grow, you get opportunities for sales, and you get like new angles to talk about that are hard to come up with on your own. It's it's the idea of the idea sex, right? Like when you're
right.
When part of what you're having to do is the work of saying how does us coming together, like boom roasted, how does that it really serve both of our audiences? And then from that you come up with concepts that you wouldn't have come up with before, right? Like it's right. So you create something even better that would have been hard to come up with on your own. But anyway, so it's always good.
Yeah, that 1 + 1 = 11.
Yeah, exactly. It's always good when we get a good boom roasted moment in anything that we do. So
that was yeah. Dan Sullivan, he talks about it in one of his books. I can't think of it right now. I have to, but I mean, it's that whole idea. I love that. I'll check out that Nearbound.
So that
sounds like it's the exact
same
thing.
is reveal.co. They put on a conference that was the Nearbound, like the Nearbound Summit. Actually, like there's a lot about it that I really loved. Here, let me send you this link though. The summit was called Nearbound, and part of what was really cool about it is that it was a completely virtual conference, and when you signed up, they sent you a workbook for free as part of as part of the marketing. And the workbook was a print on demand. Like I still use it as a reference when like people are like, yeah, we want to do like a workbook for our event. And I'm like, look at this thing. This thing's really cool and a great way to think about doing this. Because it feels like.
Can you share that with me?
Yeah. Here, let me turn off my video for a second. And I'll be right back. I won't be able to hear you for a second. All right, I'm back. Okay, so there's a number of things that I really like about it. So it's this big, okay?
And you printed it out yourself?
No. When I registered for the thing, if you registered early enough, they asked you for your address to send you a workbook. And,
nice.
Like, let me see, do I still have it in here? I might. For a while I did. I might not anymore. I had the receipt for it in here. It was an Amazon. Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, where'd it go? There. It's a pretty thin receipt. So they just set this up as Amazon print on demand, like what, KDP or whatever.
Yeah.
So it cost them $4.68 to send it to me. But they just sent it to me. As long as you registered early enough, they sent you this workbook. And And yeah, like I don't know, it was just cool. And so like for the most part, it's just a like a notebook, but for each of the sessions, wait a second. So like they have like some preliminary questions, and then like as you go through it, but like for each of the sessions, they did this. So they have a page that has QR codes for the speaker, QR code for special offer from this session sponsor. Okay. So QR code there. So you can go there. And then at the bottom of each page, they preemptively set up a QR code for the recordings and then a QR code for slides or nearbound bonus. And so,
nice.
So like they set up all those like you could go to the QR go to the QR code for that. When you first went there, if the session hadn't been run yet, there was just nothing there. But if you want to go to it after the fact, it's there. But yeah, Go-To Network and the
really
3
cool. It makes sense.
What's that?
Makes sense. You know, the SaaS Academy, the two methods they recommend the most. They said first, if you can do strategic partnerships, they said we've seen people do amazing just with strategic partnerships, not needing anything else. If you don't have strategic partners, if you don't know people there, their next suggestion is cold email outbound. You know,
Right.
if you don't know anybody, and that's,
yeah,
I mean that's the strategic way to do it right there.
Right. But yeah. Anyway, so I just thought it was really cool. Like, if you're gonna run a virtual event, these guys did a good job.
Do that.
Doing a cool virtual event. But yeah, it's from that Reveal.co company. Like that's who put on the event.
Nice.
So, but anyway.
I love that.
Well, cool.
I'll check all that out.
Yeah. So
I think
next
we got
step
a bunch
would be,
done.
what's that?
I said I think we got a bunch done.
We did.
What's your
next step? Next steps for me, I gotta actually get signed up for BNI. What do I actually do to do that? I've probably gotten emails or whatnot. Do I just need to like reach out to Adam and say, hey, I want to sign up, or what do I do?
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, I think I have his information. I think he actually reached out to me on WhatsApp.
Probably.
Called me.
He uses WhatsApp.
Yeah, so I'll find him on there, and then where did he just recently reached out? I don't remember. Anyway, he reached out somewhere, so I'll find that. Tell him I need to sign up, get signed up, and then start coming to that meeting. I need to start looking at potentially targeting some other meetings, possibly look at doing this reveal thing, try and play with that a bit and see what that might look like. And then making those connections. I have the one-to-one meeting is simple enough, and part of what I could mention is like, hey, for the right fit, like part of what I do is I bring you on my show, and
right.
I don't need to bring everybody on my show. I could just bring the right fits onto my show. But I could at least do like the get to know you meeting first, the one-to-one. That makes sense. Yeah, that sounds like a good next step. And then right. otherwise in my strategy, I mean, I'm still like the overall strategy still plays out the same. I still think that the overall concept is mid-ticket offers, working toward building out a group environment where people can learn the same concept, but really it's just another way for me to serve my main audience. I think I think I more directly target the one-to-one relationships as meaning the direct consulting relationships at this stage. But then as I'm looking to scale it up, I get that solid. I look at scaling up the group coaching sort of environment as a way to filter and find the people who can't afford to do the direct stuff.
Yeah.
I need to see if there's a way that I could turn part of what I'm doing, like long term, but turn what I'm doing into something that either I could train people up to run it on other people's behalf or something. But anyway, I don't know. It's a long term thing. I got my first problems to solve first. So, but
yeah,
cool.
Awesome.
We got
a lot of shit done.
Did you so you got good strategy to run to test out your ads, right?
Yeah.
You have kind of clear metrics to look at to see what's working or what's not and what you're learning from each of those, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That's what we're looking for. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.